Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour, your source for all hard rock, heavy metal, new metal, alternative, punk, horror punk, hardcore, rock, and all local bands, with your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bodfather.
Hi, this is William DuVall, and you are listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
The views and opinions of the guest do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of BODS Mayhem Radio Network, its staff, affiliates, or sponsors. Parental discretion is advised. Welcome to BODS Mayhem Radio Network.
Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I'm your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bodfather, and as always, I bring you guys awesome interviews. Today, it's an honor and a very huge privilege to have Mr. William DuVall. He's the vocalist of Alice in Chains, and William has previously worked with bands, comes with The Fall and Giraffe Tongue Orchestra, plus he's worked with others. William is set to release his debut solo album, One Alone, via DVL Recordings October 4th. Even though this is an acoustic album, it's vocally and musically powerful, hands down, folks. I'm not kidding. I'm not saying that just because William's on here, but I got to listen to this, streaming. It is very, very good, very powerful. This album does not let up from the first song to the last one, and I'll give you a little tidbit of what I liked on here. The Veil of All My Fears, The Three Wishes, Strung Out on a Dream, and White Hot. And that's just a little bit, but I'm telling you right now, folks, this is a great, great album, and well done, William. How you doing, man?
Thank you very much. I'm doing very well, and I appreciate the kind words in the intro. And yeah, man, doing all right here in Cleveland, Ohio. Speaking to you.
How's it been working with For the Wind Media so far?
It's fine. No, it's been great. Jamie's been great.
When did you decide you wanted to do an acoustic album? You know, has it been in the works and just didn't have the right time to do it?
Basically, yes. I had the genesis for the album for quite a little while. It started with going into the studio to record Till the Light Guides Me Home. And at that time, I thought it was just going to be a demo recording of the song for me to have. And I was actually even considering giving it to another singer who I was thinking of working with at the time. So this was just going to be a multi-purpose demo for myself and to also give an idea to this singer that I was thinking of working with. And while I was in the studio, I went ahead and recorded 7 more songs in the same day. So I walked out of the studio with 8 songs recorded in one day and just held on to it for a while. And then began to think that this might be the beginnings of an album that presents a really intimate experience for the listener and presents something that is perhaps unexpected from me, but it could still be very strong. And so once I got that idea into my head that this might be the makings of an album, I went into the studio again and recorded a few more songs in just an evening, and we have the One Alone album. So the actual recording time was very, very quick, but the gestation of the idea for actually releasing this album did take some time. But I think everything has worked out as it was meant to, because now that we have this trilogy of albums that Alice in Chains has done, and now that we are winding down the campaign for the third album in that trilogy, Rain and Fog, this is really the perfect opportunity to put something like the One Alone album out and as I say, present something that might be unexpected for some people, but for me is a perfectly logical step because of all these years doing these band-oriented rock records and now presenting the first album that I've ever released under my own name, not under a band moniker, and having it just be one voice, one guitar, just as reductive as you can get, as solo as a solo album can get. And it sort of is like it's like a palate cleanser from all the decades of rock records I've done, and it's also a perfect starting point for anything I might want to do under my own name in the future.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Are we going to get anything else like this down the road? I mean, do you have anything else in the bottle, maybe, possibly?
Well, I mean, I definitely would love to and plan on releasing more albums under my own name. So this is just the beginning in terms of that. And, in terms of what I may have sitting in the vault, that remains to be seen. I don't, I want to assess that after this One Alone album gets a chance to get out into the world and make its own way, then we'll see what happens.
And I thought this is really cool when you mentioned that this is recorded pretty much in one day, just about. To me, that's pretty damn quick to get songs recorded and out the door like that. Well,
I've always worked very quickly. Comes with the Fall used to make albums in just 3 or 4 days as a matter of routine. I come from that school of thought and from that way of working. A lot of my heroes and biggest influences, they also used to go into the studio and blast out records very quickly. It's like if you're there just if you can't go in and knock it down, then what are you doing? If you can't go in and record something essentially live and have it stand on its own, then in my view, it's sort of like, well, what are we doing here? We're just kind of wasting everyone's time, including our own. And I never had the time or the money comes with the Fall or most of the things that I've done to lounge about, like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, sure.
Playing pinball and ordering takeout and whatever else, people do, and just taking, eons to get a basic track and taking, whole seasons to get a few songs down. I just that never even was a consideration for most of the albums that I've made in my career, if you want to call it that. And so I had to know how to do it the old way. I had to know how to do it the way they did it in the 50s and the 60s, and so that's just how I roll.
I thought this was really absolutely awesome when I was seeing this. Some of these songs that are on the album are acoustic versions that you did with your band Comes With the Fall. Did you want to show the raw form of these songs before they were a band-oriented song before that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this album, One Alone, gives us all a chance to hear what those songs were like at their origin point, because that's how they started. They started with just myself and a guitar, and so yeah, that was something I wanted to do, and I just felt like those songs presented very well in a solo acoustic presentation, So yeah, rather than just doing it for myself and for my the amusement of my friends at parties or whatever, I thought, let's just get this on the record and put it out. It's cool.
I'm glad you did, and I like I said, I'm not saying this because you're on here, but I'm really glad you did, because these are kind of some diamonds in the rough, man. These are actually really great, powerful songs by you.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. To me, those songs stand up with anything.
Yes.
And and this really proves it beyond a shadow of a doubt.
What's impressed or excited you the most about One Alone, if anything? What is it possibly that sticks out the most for you, maybe, William?
Well, the reception so far from the people has stood out to me. It's been overwhelming and wonderful. I've just got the one song out right now, Till the Light Guides Me Home, and that song is certainly a pivotal one for me as a writer. And obviously, as I said before, it was kind of the genesis of this album in a lot of ways. And so to put that song out and to introduce the idea of this album coming out and have people respond the way they have has just been one of the greatest experiences I've ever had as a musician. And it's only just beginning, so I just couldn't be more excited for the future, and I'm just so grateful to everyone who's responded the way they have.
Yes, sir. That's what I like to hear. I hope to God there's some more acoustic stuff by you. That's for damn sure.
Right on.
I know when you was working on this, putting all this together, Was it hard to choose between the current set of songs that you have recorded? Which one would be the first single or video that you wanted to release, or was it hands down Till the Light Guides Me Home?
It was hands down Till the Light Guides Me Home. Yeah, for sure. And for all the reasons I said before, and it just made sense. So that part was easy. But, you know, people have already been asking if I'm going to release more singles from this album, and that gets to be, that's trickier. Like trying to pick another song. Like, you know, but, you know, we'll have to see how it goes.
What do you hope everyone takes away from this single, Till the Light Guides Me Home, or message you hope to hear by listening to it, or just any of your music in general, whoever it's with?
Well, from Till the Light Guides Me Home, and perhaps even more generally with some of my other work, just the idea that it's never too late to create the reality that you want for yourself. And, you know, that we can all make mistakes, and sometimes pretty grievous mistakes, but we can also sometimes be our own worst enemy in terms of getting the kind of connection that we want with other people, or just getting the things we want out of life. But in spite of that, it's never too late to own your mistakes and to turn yourself around and straighten up and fly right and get back on the path to what's going to get you the important things in life, whatever you deem that to be, you know.
Other than Till the Light Guides Me Home, do you have any others that stick out for you possibly? I mean, I know you probably can't choose another one because they're like your favorite child or your favorite whatever that you like to do.
Right.
But I know you're real close to them, but are they a follow-up second one maybe?
Well, I mean, I know for potential follow-up singles, I know White Hot has been discussed, and, you know, there's probably some others on there, you know, No Need to Wonder, Still Got a Hold on My Heart. I mean, there's some performances that I feel are pretty strong, you know, and I wanted very much for this album to be kind of intimate experience that people could have as a listener. I wanted this to be perhaps one of those late night records, you know, that you put on when you just want to get really contemplative about where you are in your life. You know?
Sure, yeah,
like,
I agree.
Or, you know what I mean? Or whatever it is, like whatever it is you need to get deep with, you know, with yourself about, that this could maybe be one of the soundtrack albums for that, you know, a headphone record, or just to put it on quietly at night, or even loudly at night, whatever, you know, but just I wanted it to be one of those records that have been, I don't know, certain records that I've loved from other artists I admire, they become like friends. And so I was hoping maybe this record could be a friend to somebody.
Are you going to take this out on tour, possibly? Do like a little intimate sets at little venues and things like that, maybe?
Absolutely, yeah. There's already a bunch of shows booked, and I'll be announcing those very soon. So yeah, a bunch of shows in the U.S. in late fall of this year, and then picking it up again in early 2020, and then I'd like to try to get over to Europe and maybe South America. I mean, yeah, I definitely plan on taking this thing on the road and doing exactly what you just said, just doing intimate sets in very small venues for people, and bringing them the experience that the record provides, but live in person.
Mm-hmm. Preach on, brother. Preach on.
Yeah.
Who directed Till the Light Guides Me Home video? I know you did a lot of this yourself, but who directed this?
Guy named Eric Salati, a young man who is in film school that I found, and he was the director, and then another young man also in the SCAD film school in Atlanta, Rocco Shapiro, helped me out with this thing, and a young lady, Danny Flores, and I produced it. She and I produced this thing, and it was just nice to give those kids an opportunity to work on something that might get out into the wider world in a different way than anything they might be doing in school, you know. And I'm very proud of them.
It's a cool video because, I mean, you're just walking around, playing your guitar, singing your song, having a good time. It's like,
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
I mean, the original concept I came up with, and it was supposed to be completely linear, like I never stopped moving and I just moved through all these different locations. But then when we got to shooting, there were some just practical reality obstacles that that kicked in. And so we adapted the original concept a little bit, but I think it still retains most of that sort of feeling, I hope. And anyway, I think it fits the song, and I think it fits the album, and people are reacting to it extremely well. So
me and a buddy was watching it a couple weeks ago, which I'm a huge fan of yours anyway, and I was like, check out William's new song he's got, his acoustic stuff. And he's like, it comes on, he's like, look, he's on the bridge where the Walking Dead is. Like, no, he's not. No, he's not. No.
Well, I know that a lot of The Walking Dead is filmed just south of Atlanta, and the video for Silver Light Guides Me Home was filmed in Atlanta, so he might be right. I don't know.
Don't tell him he's right, please. Just no, don't.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Damn it, William. Did you self-produce this album or no?
Yeah. I've produced every record I've ever made since about 1995, except for the Alice in Chains albums, obviously.
Sure.
But yeah, all that comes with the fall stuff, and and certainly this album, and some records for some other bands too. It's something I enjoyed doing.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, do you like to have that freedom and control to record when you want to and when you get the inspiration to do it?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So this debut solo album, One Alone, has this been a breath of fresh air, or has it just been more of a personal growth for you possibly?
Both. Absolutely both. Yeah. It's, like I said, it presents kind of a starting point, I think, for anything I might want to do in the future musically under my own name. And definitely a growing experience for sure, both just the creation of the album and also the release of the album have both been very sort of important evolutionary experiences for me as an artist. Yeah.
When you're coming into the recording studio, do you like to do anything differently during the writing and recording process? I know that's two different things, but maybe to help keep your mind fresh and open, to not get bored or not let it get stale?
Well, there's never any time to get bored in the studio for me because, as I say, I'm always, with the records I produce, there's never any time to get bored because there's too much work to be done. Mm-hmm. And we're always maxed out in terms of time being money and all that stuff. So it's always like, all right, like it's just, let's get cracking, let's get this happening. Yeah, I mean, it's very much like they made records at probably like Sun Studios or something in the 50s. There's no messing around. There's no time to get bored. In fact, if you're bored, you're doing something wrong as far as I'm concerned. When I'm the producer, there ain't no getting bored.
Now, when you do take this out on the road, William, what are fans going to get when they come to see you versus Alice in Chains live show to a William DuVall acoustic set? What are they going to get?
Well, they're going to get this album, One Alone, featured for sure, and they're going to get a live listening experience that mirrors the experience of listening to the album, except that I hope that all of us being in the room together will give it a different kind of a life and make these songs live in a different way and give us all something that we can walk out of there feeling nourished by, and so it's, very intimate experience. These are going to be very small venues, and I'm obviously not going to be, running around like a maniac like I do when I'm working with Alice, so it's a different experience, but I hope one that everyone will find really rewarding.
We're living in a digital era now of recording albums, get music out quicker, and plus now we got social media to reach out to more folks. Do you like this that we're living in now to get albums out quicker and plus even reach out to more people on social media?
Yes, I think overall we now have very powerful tools at hand that we didn't have even, a decade ago or so. There's been a lot of advancement in terms of the tools that are available. Now, obviously, like every paradigm shift in in society, it's a double-edged sword, and particularly with regard to compensation for the artists, the laws have not yet caught up with the technology. And so there's still a lot of things that have yet to come to pass that are needed, in terms of, really fulfilling the full promise of this new era. But yeah, I mean, if one is willing to learn how to use these new tools and really get serious about applying them, there's a lot of opportunity there to reach people that we just did not have before, and to do it completely under your own auspices. You don't have to, sign yourself and your work over to another entity if you don't want to. Of course, many still will, and for a lot of very valid reasons, but just there are more choices in terms of how you reach people. And even if you do work with an outside company, that company has a lot more tools at hand to compete in the marketplace that they didn't have before. I mean, so it's an interesting time for sure.
What made you want to become a musician? What was that spark for you that said, yeah, I want to do that?
Hendrix.
Oh, yes, sir.
He was it. I mean, my cousin Donald moved in with my mother and me when I was 8 years old. Donald was 18, and he had kind of a difficult home life he was trying to get away from, and my mother was always taking in kids who needed help and things like that. She was a school teacher in Washington, D.C., and so this was just her way, and Donald was family, so it was an absolute no-brainer. He came in and had a little box of records with him that he brought, his little record collection, and the Band of Gypsies album was in there, and that was it, man. He put that on, and I just couldn't even believe what I was hearing, and I kept asking him all these questions, like, what, you mean that's all being done with a guitar? What do you mean? Like, and Donald was trying to explain feedback and Stratocasters and Marshall stacks and all this stuff. And of course, his albums were in very dilapidated condition. They were all missing the album covers, or they, were all scratched up and stuff just from his previous home life. And so I didn't know what Hendrix looked like for a while. So we were just listening to this album every day, like all day, and had no idea what he looked like. And Donald was trying to explain, but, I just couldn't imagine. So one day he went over to the library, because obviously this is pre-internet, this is 1976. So yeah. He went to the library and he photocopied old issues of Rolling Stone magazine. He brought home these pictures of Jimi Hendrix, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my God, he looks like us. This is what? You mean like all this and that too? It just my mind was blown, And then and then as fate would have it, Monterey Pop, the movie, was coming on television soon after this massive introduction to this artist and so he's obviously featured in that movie. And so my cousin had made plans with his friends, all the older guys, to me. And we all convened over at this guy's apartment, this friend of my cousin Donald. And the guy had rented one of those big old 70s floor model televisions, you could get like easy rental, one of those kind of things. Yeah. And just for this occasion, it was that big a deal. I'm going to rent a television set. And we waited, and finally Hendrix came on, man, and did that wild thing with the Voodoo Sacrifice. I was just like, man, I was already done, but now I'm double done. Like, this is just like, what else would you do with your life?
Yeah.
What else would you do? And that was it.
I've said over 1,000 times, man, Hendrix and Cliff Burton, those guys like that, man, they are way ahead of their time. So way ahead of their time.
Yeah, Cliff Burton was fantastic. He's fantastic.
Did you know that Cliff Burton took a guitar, actual electric guitar pickup, and put it in his bass to get more, I guess, tone out of it, because his bass wasn't putting out enough tone for him?
Well, I'm not surprised, I mean, when you're on a quest like that, you'll do anything. You'll try anything, Yeah, that's great.
We've lost many great musicians over time in music, and very few were able to get the right fit in their bands after that. You know, AC/DC lost Bon Scott. They got Brian Johnson. Van Halen replaced David Lee Roth with Sammy Hagar. You know, Ozzy got, when he lost Randy Rhoads, he got Zakk Wylde. When you came with Alice in Chains and auditioned for it, things like that, what was going through your mind when you knew that you had it? They told you that you had it after Lane's passing.
Oh, my God. Well, you know, nobody's actually ever said I had it, you know, but I mean, I mean, that's one thing. Secondly, I mean, you know, there was all this history prior to us reconstituting Alice in Chains that Cantrell and I had. You know, I actually met him in the year 2000 when Comes With the Fall first moved to LA from Atlanta.
Right.
And he was one of the first people I met. And he was a big fan of Comes With the Fall. He was, you know, I mean, he was around us all the time. He was jumping on stage with us all the time, playing our songs. You know, he'd asked me to teach him 2 of our songs from our first album, and he would come and play the 3 Wishes and We Come Undone with us every night we were playing in Hollywood. And we were playing a lot back then around the city because that's just what you do. You know, you move to a new town, you want to hit the ground running. And so people thought he was joining Comes With the Fall. I mean, he even played bass for us one time when our bass player Adam got locked up in Atlanta and couldn't make this show at the Cat Club in Hollywood that we had booked. So he was like, I'll play bass. I mean, that's how it was back then.
Yeah.
And so we had all this history, and then we went on tour together for 2 years. He was putting out the Degradation Trip album, and Comes With the Fall we would open the shows, and then we would also serve as his backing band for, you know, 2 years solid, all over the U.S. and the U.K. And so we put just hundreds of thousands of road miles on the thing as well as just, you know, being friends. And so, of course, you know, we were doing some Alice songs in his solo set every night too. So, you know, that was actually the beginning of me singing those songs, was playing them with my band, backing up Cantrell, kind of being crazy horse to his Neil Young or whatever, you know. And so, yeah, so by the time we got around to actually formally reviving Alice in Chains, I mean, there was just all these years of history leading up to it. And, you know, it just, it was really just a natural evolution. It's not what some people would think of as like, oh, you know, he's coming in out of the blue, you know,
right,
they
yeah.
picked him out of a hat and he's now auditioning. It's the big audition. And what was going through your mind during the big audition?
Right.
Nothing was going through my mind. You know what I mean? I came down and Cantrell knew what was going to happen. You know what I mean? That's why he asked me to come down on the last day. I think as a courtesy to the other guys, they had, you know, had some other people come in just as, like I said, it was a courtesy, you know. And then he was like, you come down on the Saturday. It was that kind of thing, you know. It's like, because we know, we already know. And so I came in and of course, you know, just acting like it was some offhand decision. I was like, oh, you know, he was like, you want to do Love, Hate, Love? And they're like, oh, you know, you like of all the songs, let's just pick one out of thin air. Let's just make it the hardest one ever, you know, because I know you're going to destroy it, and then these guys will have no doubt. You know, it's that kind of thing. It was like, we're going to make this look like an accident, but, you know, whatever. So, yeah, and sure enough, picked that song. We did it, smashed it, and Kenny was like, well, I think the search is, like, over. You know what I mean? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it was just, yeah, you know, it was a planned accident, whatever. Not even an accident. It just was what it was.
I knew I screwed that question up because I was like, God, he opened up for Comes With a Fall for Cantrell for a long time. I don't know why I didn't stick that in there.
Yeah.
Folks, you want to get out and pick up William DuVall's debut solo album, One Alone, via DVL Recordings, October 4th. And like I said, this is a great, great album. And I'm going to say this right now. I love what William has done with this acoustic album. Plus, with Alice in Chains and stuff, I swear they couldn't have found anybody better. That is for sure. So congratulations on everything, man. And before I let you go, how can folks stay in touch with you, buy this new solo album, things like that? How can they do that?
Well, it's available for pre-order now. And yeah, it is. It's available for pre-order now in all formats and or pre-saving, whatever, you know, because we're in that streaming era.
and got some wonderful stuff, man. Limited edition vinyl that's autographed and numbered, and we got many. We got 2 different color variants for the U.S. store, and then 2 different color variants for the UK store that ships worldwide, and it's just great. And oadvl.com will get you to the page where you can see it all displayed before you, like all the formats, and you can just pick whatever one you want. iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify. The limited edition vinyl. You pick your poison. CDs are autographed too. So if you order CDs from either of the stores, the online stores, they're autographed too, and limited edition everything. So get them while you can, because the vinyl's already going fast. We're about 50% sold on those already, and we're already we're what, just short of 2 months shy of the release date. So they're going pretty fast.
Good God, that's awesome, dude. Yeah. Before I let you go, would you care to do a promo for the show?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Hi, this is William DuVall, and you are listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Everybody stick around. We got some great stuff coming up, and you only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour and BODS Mayhem Radio Network. Get out and check out our Facebook page. It has our podcast link, YouTube link, and soon our Twitch link. Please subscribe and like our YouTube page, because everything is going to be up on our YouTube page and plus our podcast link. So also get out and check out William DuVall's new solo record, One Alone, via DVL Recordings October 4th. William, thank you so much. And man, I'm very, very, very impressed with all your stuff that you've done.
Oh, thank you, brother. I appreciate it very much, man. Thank you for having me on.